They thought they could erase me from my own family. They were wrong. My name is Sarah, and at 48, I thought I had survived the worst betrayal of my life. My divorce. But nothing prepared me for what my own children would do to me on my birthday. The text came from Michael, my eldest. "Mom, meet us at Romano's at 7 p.m. Dress nice. We have a surprise." Something felt wrong. My children hadn't planned anything for me in 2 years, not since their father married that woman, Victoria. But hope is a dangerous drug, and I was already addicted. I walked into Romano's wearing my best dress, heart racing with anticipation. The hostess looked confused when I mentioned the reservation under my name. "I'm sorry, there's no booking for Sarah Mitchell." My blood turned cold. I scanned the restaurant and found them. My ex-husband James, his new wife Victoria, and my 2 children. They were already eating, laughing, celebrating something without me. Victoria saw me first. She waved with that practiced smile and said, "Oh, Sarah, you're here. We weren't sure you'd show up." The humiliation hit me like a physical blow. As I stood there, invisible and unwanted, the pieces fell into place. This wasn't an accident. This was calculated. For months, I'd watched my children drift away. Victoria had been funding their lives. Michael's new apartment, Emma's college tuition, their expensive clothes and gadgets. She wasn't just playing stepmother. She was systematically replacing me, buying their loyalty $1 at a time. And tonight was supposed to be my final humiliation, the moment I'd realize I was no longer needed. But here's what they didn't know. I had figured it out weeks ago. When Michael mentioned Romano's, I did my research. I discovered that Victoria had made a reservation for 4 people under her name, not mine. I also learned something else. Romano's new head chef, Antonio, used to work at my old restaurant. The same restaurant where I gave him his first chance as a sous chef 15 years ago. The same man who now owed his entire career to a woman they thought they could humiliate. While they ate their appetizers, probably toasting their success, I walked straight to the kitchen. Antonio's face lit up when he saw me. "Mrs. Sarah, what are you doing here?" I explained everything. His expression darkened. "They disrespect you in my restaurant. Well, this will not happen." Within minutes, he had arranged something beautiful. The private dining room upstairs, usually reserved for VIPs, was suddenly available. The finest wine, the chef's special menu, and a table with a perfect view of the main dining room below. I took my seat upstairs and watched them realize I wasn't coming to beg for scraps at their table. Victoria kept looking around, confusion replacing her smug satisfaction. My children seemed uncomfortable, whispering to each other. James looked angry. Then Antonio himself brought me the wine, making sure everyone in the restaurant could see the special treatment. He announced loudly, "Compliments of the house for our most valued guest." The entire restaurant turned to look at me, sitting alone in luxury while they sat below, suddenly looking very small. Victoria couldn't stand it. She climbed the stairs to my private dining room. Her face flushed with embarrassment and rage. "What are you trying to prove, Sarah?" she demanded. I took a slow sip of wine, savored it, then looked her in the eye. "I'm not trying to prove anything, Victoria. I already have." I placed a folder on the table. Bank statements, tuition payments, rent receipts, all with her signature. "You think you bought my children, but all you really did was show them what conditional love looks like. You want to know the difference between us?" I continued, my voice calm but deadly. "I raised them with love. You train them with money. Love creates loyalty. Money creates dependency. And dependent people always resent their benefactor eventually." Victoria's face went white. She knew I was right. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and delivered the final blow. "Enjoy your purchase, Victoria. But remember, everything you buy has an expiration date." I walked downstairs, past their table, without a single glance. The entire restaurant watched as I left like a queen, dignified and unbroken. Antonio met me at the door, pressing a business card into my hand. "If you ever want to start another restaurant, Mrs. Sarah, I will be your first chef." I smiled, kissed his cheek, and walked into the night. Behind me, I could hear the uncomfortable silence at their table. Mission accomplished. 3 months later, Michael called me crying. Victoria had cut off his funding after a minor disagreement, leaving him scrambling to pay rent. Emma followed 2 weeks later when Victoria demanded she change her major to something more practical, in exchange for continued tuition support. They learned the hard way that I was right. But love always comes with strings attached. We're rebuilding our relationship now, slowly but genuinely. They thought they could write me out of the story, make me disappear from my own life. But here's what they failed to understand. You can't erase someone who knows their own worth. You can't humiliate someone who refuses to be a victim. And you certainly can't destroy someone who's already survived their worst betrayal and come out stronger. As for Victoria and James, last I heard, their marriage is struggling. Turns out, when you build a relationship on the destruction of someone else's family, the foundation isn't very stable. But I'm not watching their downfall. I'm too busy building my own empire. Because the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming so successful that your enemies become irrelevant. They wanted to make me disappear. Instead, they made me unforgettable. Some battles you fight with tears. Others you fight with champagne.